I spent some time living in my car, which was better than many homeless people had. I had a job and could find places to shower while saving up for a place to live. It wasn't great, but it was something. The hardest part was finding a place to park and sleep at night. This was in the late 1990s in the far northern suburbs of Chicago, around Waukegan. I tried parking in apartment building lots, but they were just as tough as business lots. You needed permits to park anywhere, proving you were a resident. Since I wasn't a resident, it was difficult. I switched locations often, rarely staying in the same place twice. I drove around, searching for spots at the last minute. Motel parking lots were okay for a night, but I had to leave early to avoid getting caught. One winter night, a snowstorm had been building all day. I thought with the snow piling up, no one would notice where I parked. I figured it would be an easy night. I was wrong. Finding a parking space in a snowstorm was much harder than usual. I searched for a long time, exhausted by the effort. I'd never tried sleeping on the street by a meter, fearing a cop would find me. But I thought if I laid down and my car was covered in snow, no one would see me. So I decided to go for it. I found a spot, quietly turned off the car, and crawled into the back seat with my blankets. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard banging on my window. It startled me. I thought a cop had seen me, so I peeked out, scared I might get arrested. What I saw was much scarier than a cop. It was another homeless person peering into my window. I wasn't scared just because he was homeless. It was the look on his face that terrified me. He started pounding on my window hard, as if he wanted to break it. "Let me in," he shouted. "Let me in. It's freezing out here." I felt sympathy for him, but there was no way I was letting him into my car. I didn't know anything about him, whether he was sick or dangerous. So I shook my head and told him I couldn't. That set him off. He began banging even harder, looking crazed. "Let me in, or I'll get in myself," he yelled. His eyes were wild, and I was terrified. He pounded so hard that I thought he would break the window. Panic hit, I jumped into the front seat, started the car, and just as he managed to break my back window, I drove away. Luckily, my car started right up, and I got out of there before anything worse happened, but I was shaken. I drove back to the restaurant parking lot where I worked. I'd never slept there before because I didn't want them to know I lived in my car. But after what happened, I figured it was worth the risk. Although the window was broken, it didn't shatter completely. It stayed in place, but cold air seeped in through the cracks. It was a rough night, and I barely slept, but at least I was safe.